we bring to you Ms. Heather Hansen O'Neill. Heather is an award-winning speaker, author, and connection expert presenting to organizations and corporations on team development, transition, productivity, and joyful living. Heather is a certified DISC facilitator, certified corporate coach, a TV show host, and creator of the Stop the Violence, Embrace the Children program. Just a few of the Find Your Fire clients of hers include AT&T, Meeting Planners International, NYU, United Illuminating, State Farm Insurance, and Western Connecticut University. Heather walks her talk every day by living a life she loves: rock climbing, fire walking, skydiving, and windsurfing, and professional dancing. She runs a successful business, transforming lives and companies while making plenty of quality time raising her 3 high-energy boys. Heather offers keynote speeches, individual and group coaching, webinars, CDs, DVDs, and her book, Find Your Fire at 40, Creating a Joyful Life During the Age of Discontent and Teams on Fire, Transforming Your Group into a More Productive, Profitable, and Motivated Team, are just 2 of the books that she has available. For more information on Heather and her programs, you can find her at fireinfive.com. So today I am proud and pleased to present to you Ms. Heather Hansen O'Neill, who will talk about Teams on Fire.
Recently I was having a conversation with one of my mastermind clients who happens to be a teacher. She came up to me and she said, "I hate this. I can't teach what I want to teach because they tell me what to teach. And even if I could, I wouldn't be able to teach anyway because I'm more of a babysitter than anything because the parents don't discipline their kids anymore. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I hate this. I can't do what I have to do." Now, because of what I do for a living, I run into clients often that hate what they do, but it's never been a teacher. So I asked her, I said, "What made you decide to become a teacher?" And it took her a few moments, but she said, "I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to use my unique gifts to cultivate the gifts of other people. I wanted to give people opportunities that they didn't have. I wanted to help people grow and become and make a difference." Now, the interesting thing about this is the complete transformation of her in that 1 to 2 minute period. When she was first talking, her body sunk in on itself. You could see her jaw was clenched. There was this essence of anger and frustration that was emanating out of her. But when she reconnected with her why, there was breath. There was a lifting. There was a joyfulness in both her body and her tone. And it was palpable. So I want to talk a little bit today about reconnecting with our why. Because if we don't fill ourselves first, then we won't be able to allow our gifts and our wisdom and our experience to flow out to everyone else. Which leads me to another story. One of my twins a few years ago drew me a picture. There was this big flower that he said was me, and there was this little flower that he said was him. Now, as I looked at it, it looked to me as if the big flower was crying. So I said, "Baby, why is the mama flower crying?" And he said, "No, Mama, you're not crying. That's your love. It's spilling out of you onto me, and it makes me grow, kind of like when we water a plant." So after congratulating congratulating myself on producing this wise and sweet child, I realized that he was right. It's all about the love, coming from a place of love. And also, flowers and gardens can offer us a lot of different analogies. I'm going to give you one more. Have you ever seen a garden that is lush and full of beautiful wildflowers? Have you ever seen a garden with rows and rows of beautiful plants, walkways, and little benches where you can sit and smell the roses? And have you ever seen a garden that is full of weeds? Maybe one little hardy flower coming up, but mostly weeds. My question for you today is simply this. Which garden is most like your life? Have you created a life that is full of joy and abundance? Or have you structured your life in a way that allows you to sit and enjoy precious moments? Or does your life, frankly, need a little weeding? The weeds are negative people that put you down. Get them out of there. The weeds are other people's priorities that steal your energy. Get them out of there. The weeds are your own self-doubts and fears. Get them out of there so you can create space to plant seeds of empowering relationships. So that you can plant seeds of love and growth and wisdom and joy so that you are full and can make a difference. Because that's what you do every single day. And I just want to reconnect with that. Connection begins with you. Okay, Nadine, let the cat out of the bag. I'm an adventure junkie. It's true. Now, I do these crazy things like jump out of airplanes and fly on the trapeze and race car drive because in order for me to authentically help other people overcome their fears and step outside of their comfort zone, I have to do it myself on a regular basis. Doesn't hurt that I really get a kick out of it too. But every time I do one of these adventures, I get a lesson for myself and that I integrate and then pass along to people like you. So who here has gone race car driving? No, okay. Who here has driven just a little bit too fast on an icy road and spun out a little bit? Okay. Good. Well, not good. Don't do that again. But let me tell you a lesson that I learned from my instructor when I went race car driving. He told me before we got in the car, he said, this is how it works. We're going to practice spin outs. And when you start to spin out, you're going to look at the wall or the guardrail or the car that you're about to hit. Don't do that. Like, okay. So we get in the car, and of course, even though I heard his words, and I knew this was important, he told me it was important, as soon as we started to spin out, what happened? I immediately looked directly at the wall. And of course, there wasn't a lot of time. It seemed like it took a long time, but it was a matter of seconds. He grabs my chin and points my head toward the open road where we needed to go. And I fought him, I have to say. I admit it. I'm like, because you want to look at this thing, this morbid curiosity of what you're about to slam into. But he kept me looking where I needed to go. And the lesson I learned that day was that what you focus on expands. And if you constantly look at the challenges, the things that are going wrong, the things you're about to hit, the obstacles, that will expand. But if you force yourself to look where you want to go, the open road, the goals, the dreams, That's what will expand. The world will create opportunities for you to make that happen. And sometimes it's hard because other people put these obstacles in front of us at times. But we have to be strong enough to force our gaze to where we want to go. No significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. James P. Comer. I believe this very, very strongly. I'm all about relationships and making connections. I believe that the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our relationships. The ability that we have to connect, to understand, to appreciate, to listen. This is what will ignite our income. This is what will spark the passion in our personal relationships. And that ability that we have to connect with who we are inside, with ourselves, our vision. That's what lights that inner flame that makes every other relationship possible. So I get a little passionate about this whole relationship thing, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to give you several different connection stories and tips. Some of them, if you wanted to, you could implement right away. Some of them are really for older kids, but you can get creative and figure out a way to adapt it. And at the end, I hope, as we go through the time, you'll start to think, oh yeah, you know what? I have this thing that I do that connects with the parents or with the students in a really powerful way. I'd like you to maybe share that as well. Is everyone willing to share? Is anyone willing to share? Are you out there? I hope that you'll feel comfortable enough to do that. This little guy here is my 12-year-old son, Jake, when he was 2. He's a very interesting character. He's my oldest, and he is amazing. He's incredibly bright, but I have to say that he loves to challenge me and everyone around him. And I know that if I let him live long enough, he's going to make a real difference in the world. I do have to say that I have a newfound respect and appreciation for my mother and her heather-induced gray hair, because all of the attributes that make me craziest about him, he got them from me. So I really can't give him too hard of a time. That incessant questioning, the lack of caring if you're an authority figure or not, yeah, that was me. So his teachers, throughout the years, have, for the most part, really not liked it. But there have been a few that have truly connected with him and brought greatness from him. So I'll tell you, the first one was a second grade teacher, and she just found him to be wildly amusing. She didn't care that he called out in class as long as he had something valuable to say. She called me one day and she goes, she's laughing. And I would have to wait until she stops laughing so that I can find out what happened that day. She's laughing and she goes, you wouldn't believe this. I was doing a whole lesson on fables, and instead your son gave the class a lesson on karma. He's in second grade. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to my world. Then it was a few more years of him spending most of his time in the principal's office. And then 6th grade, he had his first male teacher. And he really connected with him, he respected him, and he wanted to make him proud. So this child who never wanted to do his homework, finally halfway through the year didn't have his homework done, and says to me, I don't want to tell Mr. Salvador that I didn't do my homework. I don't want to disappoint him. And at the conferences at the end of the year, not only did he discuss what Jake was doing right, what he should foster more of, what he needs some improvement on, but he ended with saying, Jake, you're a popular kid. And I know that you know some other popular kids, and sometimes these popular kids make choices that aren't that great. And I really hope that you listen to your heart and do what's right, not to what they want you to do. And he goes, oh, respect is a really important part of connection. Connect with questions. I have a wonderful friend who I take yoga with, who is a teacher, and I loved what she does. Because I asked her, I said, so how do you connect with the parents? She said, well, you know what? Not everybody has a computer. A lot do, but not everybody has a computer. Not everybody comes to the open house. Not everybody goes online, looks at the blog. But she goes, everybody has a cell phone now for even just emergencies. So what I do is I take pictures of the kids, learning something new, getting a grade they'd never gotten before, smiling, and I text it to them with a message saying, ask me about my day. I thought that was really cool. So simple, but it was a way to connect and allow the parents to know what the kids are doing, but then have a conversation with them over dinner. I thought that was really cool. Connect with support. The Gates Foundation has a great program called College Readiness Education, and I love what they're doing. They're doing it in all different grades, but you could do it with your kids in preschool at any age. But what they talk about is using video. I'm actually videotaping right now because I use it as a tool to be able to look back and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what did I like, what am I going to implement, what am I going to throw away? So you can use that for yourself as a tool to learn and grow. But what they also recommend is to share the best of the best with other teachers, other educators, with other administrators, so that we can not live in a vacuum, in a silo, and not have a competitive atmosphere, but share and grow and learn and mentor each other. Because amazing things occur when we do that. Business people, sports figures, they have coaches. And unfortunately, I don't think we do that enough in the education system, is have one-on-one coaching and mentorship. We do to a degree, but not enough. So I loved that they talk about that. Has anyone here done anything like that? No? It's a really good tool. I encourage it. Connect without judgment. I'm going to go back to that story in the beginning of my mastermind client. Of course, the conversation didn't end where I ended it. We continued talking for some time and following up. And having conversations offline about it. But what she realized was that she was judging. She was coming from a place of judging the parents because what she was looking at was just the result of what she assumed was happening at home. But when she came at it from a realization that they're trying, they might have 2, 3 jobs, they might have other kids, they might be pulled in a million different directions, and if they can't provide the discipline that the kid needs at that moment in time, she needs to be there to help support them, not judge them. It's a shift, that 2-millimeter shift that makes all the difference in our mindset. So I encourage you to come from a place of non-judgment, because we make assumptions a lot of times about what someone else's intentions are, and it doesn't really serve us. This little guy, his name is Luke. He's pretty cool. He's not like his brothers or most of the other boys his age, because he really doesn't like anything with a ball. His brothers are into sports, and they use that as a way to learn and grow, but he just doesn't like it. And his ability to be strong in that and vocalize that has caused him to be bullied from time to time. And so he comes home and he talks to me about it, and we discuss options for his responses, how he can adapt, but also when I need to intervene or when the school needs to intervene. And that would have been fine, but the connection comes in when we have to continually reinforce. An amazing thing occurred when at the school they had an anti-bullying workshop that they did. And that day he came home and he said to me, "Mommy, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. You know, a lot of people get bullied." months prior, I had made a recommendation for him to start journaling and just letting out what he was feeling inside. So he would write every night. And I didn't say, oh, let me see it. I just wanted this to be for him. So I didn't know for sure if he was doing it or not. But he goes and he gets his journal. And he goes, I've been writing, and I want to make a book and share it with all the other kids that get bullied. And I looked through, and what he had done was he came up with words that made him feel good. Peace, love, faith, joy, destiny. Came up with all these words, and then he wrote a little blurb about each of the words. And he said, well, I don't know, do you think they would like it? I said, are you kidding me? This is beautiful. So do you mind if I read you a little blurb? It's so cute. So, what he wants to do is make, for each page, have the little blurb, but he's also doing interviews of other children who have gone through it. So there's a little story at the end of how people have overcome this and different solutions that they came up with to help them become stronger when this happened. So this is the one for joy. Joy is the happiness of having spirit in our heart. It's the presence that makes us who we are. It's the power that changes the sadness in our life. It's a God telling us decay and sorrow can't change anything. Not every story has a sad ending. It's joy that gives us a chance. It tells us that we do make a difference. Don't you think that might make some other child going through this feel good? So I'm encouraging him to do this. But what we need to do, the whole point of this, is that if I were just talking to him, it got one resolution. But when you bring in the school, and when coaches reinforce it, and teachers reinforce different concepts, then what happens is they start to believe it, and feel it, and integrate it, and want to use it to serve others. I just think that's incredible. Connect with giving. This is his twin, Liam. And his favorite day of the year is Thanksgiving because we do Basket Brigade. You guys do Basket Brigade down here? Where you go and you make baskets and deliver them to people? No, I don't know if they have. I'm from Connecticut, so we do it up there. So what I want to bring up here is that no matter where people are, no matter how much they have or don't have, the feeling of happiness comes from a feeling of gratitude for what you have and for giving. And I think, unfortunately, our children aren't taught that enough. Many times, probably not the people that you come in contact with most often, but many times I see this feeling of entitlement. And where I come from in Connecticut, it's very, very prevalent, which is why I encourage my children to do stuff like this on a regular basis. But even if you're working with children that are the recipients of a Basket Brigade, it's still really, really powerful for them to be able to say, I can give too. Whether it's visiting an elderly nursing home or singing in a cancer ward, whatever it is, using their gifts to be able to give back makes all the difference in the world. It can make a total shift for a child. Connect with corporations. As I mentioned, I'm from Connecticut. We're coming upon the 1-year anniversary of Newtown. I live in Bethel. Bethel is 1 town away from Newtown. I got a phone call. You guys all know where I'm going with this, right? The shooting up in Newtown. I got a phone call last December 14th from the school saying that my children's school was in lockdown because the gunman was still loose. They didn't, and it's the next town over. So of course that was very difficult for me, but not anywhere near obviously what the Newtown parents were going through. So what happened for me at that moment was a feeling of needing to do something, needing to make a difference. So I created a program called Stop the Violence, Embrace the Children, which is a way, I do a lot of corporate work. So I speak at corporations doing team building. So I thought, well, how can we combine what I want to do, this give back to the community, to the schools, to help teach them to encourage the children to bring out their unique gifts so they don't have the time or energy or inclination for some of this violence and such. So I created this program where when I go and work for a corporation, I then also provide a free program to a school or community center of their choosing. So it's a win-win-win because the school or the community program gets a free program. The company gets the team building plus PR from doing this give back to the community, and I get to do what I love to do even more. So how can you connect with the companies? I know you do a lot with the government, obviously, with programs that you're working on now, but can you incorporate more with the companies? This is one of those things that I mentioned that is not in the age range where you're working. This is something that would probably be really appropriate for middle schoolers, but I wanted to use it to plant a seed for you that we need to then expand the awareness for ourselves and the children into what's going on around the world. This is a great film called Girl Rising about how people in other areas are desperately seeking education instead of taking it for granted. It's a 2-minute trailer. Do you want to see it?
Sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Tonight, one of the bravest girls in the world.
Malala Yousafzai became renowned for demanding girls be given the right to education.
Shot in the head on her school bus.
She was a student who wanted to learn, but now she's fighting to live.
Come on, skinny love, just last the year. Oh, a little soul, we were never here.
I was 11 years old when my father arranged for me to be married.
Staring at the sink of
تروح المدرسة؟
I had heard about the thousands of girls sold to men in those places. I can't really talk about everything that happened to me here, but I will never forget. We have come to this house, the house of her master, to say, you must set her free.
Regrets collect like old friends, here to relive your darkest moments. I can see no way, I can see no way. And all of the ghouls come out to play.
There is no miracle here, just a girl with dreams. I will read, I will study, I will learn. If you try to stop me, I will just try harder. If you stop me, there will be other girls who rise up and take my place. I am change. I am my own master now. I feel as though I have power. Now there's nothing to stop. I feel I can do anything.
Cinematography in that film is absolutely extraordinary, let alone the message. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are people outside of here who just want desperately to be educated. And so to expand our awareness for the children here, that it is a privilege that we should embrace fully. I think that's really helpful. Okay. I've given you a few seeds, but I want you to share some of the things that you are doing to connect and just to warm you up, because it's time, so I know you might be like, oh no, do I have to say something? I want to point out something that I noticed when you came in. The smiles, the warmth, the beauty in you, I mean, that it's emanating from you. You obviously all care very, very deeply, and you're here to grow and educate. One of the things that I noticed is that you did what most people do, and that is gravitate toward people that you already know. And we all do that when we go to a conference because, frankly, it's a little bit challenging and scary to go over and talk to somebody you don't know, unless you're me, because I'm a little creepy and I do that. But I encourage you for the rest of today to talk to people that you don't know, to introduce yourself, because there is a wealth of knowledge in this room that's not on the stage. So if you can learn from each other, one tip, just a few things that you can then take action on. I'm a bit of an action-oriented person, as you can tell from my whole flying on the trapeze thing and driving race cars. I like to take action. I think it's how we make things happen. So I am going to encourage you to take action. Whether it's something that you just heard, something that you might hear in the session that I'm going to do next, something that someone else shared with you at one of the other presenters, or something that you learned sitting right next to someone. I want you to think about at least one thing that you can take away and use on Monday. Because unfortunately, a lot of times at conferences, and I've done it too, I go and I get all stoked and I'm excited and I know I have this list of 42 things I'm going to do, and then you get back on Monday and life happens. So don't think of 42 like me, I'm an overachiever. Think of one or two, because then you know you'll make them happen. And then you can go down the next 3, 4 things that you want to do. All right, you've had time. Who would like to share something that they do to connect deeper with the child, with the community, with the school, with the family, with themselves, so that you're better able to serve? Yes.
Okay. I'm a family support worker, so we go into homes, and most of them are broken. And I say what I do to connect with them is I just let them talk. If they need to cry, let them cry, and just let them be who they are. And I think just to gain that trust with them, I think is an ideal key to continuing with these families and helping them know that there is hope. Even though they seem like everything's lost, but there's hope in what we do. And to give them a little bit of hope each and every day, whether it's a smile or a hug, or just, you know what, motivated to just, you can do this. Right. You can do this because you're more powerful than who you think you are. And so those are just, I give them words of motivation and power and gain so that they can continue furthering on to success for their children as well. So.
Right, I love that. What is your name?
Marta Thompson.
Marta. Anyone come over and say hello to Marta. She sounds like she's got a lovely full heart, and you might want to, she'll probably give you a smile or maybe even a hug if she's feeling it. But I love, for those of you who may not have heard Marta, what she does is when she's talking to a family that may be broken or in need of encouragement, is that she allows them to be who they are, to feel how they're feeling, and express it however they need to without judgment. We talked about that. That's so important. And I bet the connections that you make are not here. They're deeper, more meaningful connections because you allow. When we can allow, so often we come from a place of judging or expectations about what we think somebody should do or how they should behave. And whether we even realize we're doing it or not, we have them. And when you can just open your heart and allow people to feel how they feel and be who they are, there is no greater gift. That's awesome. Thank you. Who else would like to share? Yes?
I'm a new Head Start coordinator down in Southern, and we have 3 sites, and so I feel disconnected a lot of times with the children in the classroom. So I have made it a point that I just started last month of going into each classroom and spending a couple of hours at least once a week, because we are so spread out, in order to
That's so very important. What's your name? Kelly. This is Kelly, everybody. Kudos, Kelly. That's awesome because you took it upon yourself. You weren't told to do this, right? You just knew there was a deficiency there and you weren't feeling it, and so you did what you knew you needed to do to build a stronger connection. If you didn't hear her, she goes into some of her areas are disconnected. So she goes and she visits the classroom, spends time with the children so that she can get to know them better and on a different level. I think that's fantastic. I bet they really appreciate that. And that's one of the things that I actually do in corporations a lot as well, is that when they have multiple locations, they feel very disconnected from each other, and then they tend to talk about each other like, oh, so-and-so down in South Carolina doesn't know what they're doing down there just because they don't know them. But when they build that connection and get to meet each other, totally different thing. Excellent job. Wait, sorry. Oh, yeah. Let's have another one. Yes.
Cheryl Hansen from Anne Arundel County. I'm with Anne Arundel Community College. It's the only Maryland college that has a parenting program. So they teach parenting courses. I'm a best behavioral specialist, which best stands for behavioral and emotional support training for parents. But anyway, there's a course that the college teaches that's called Teaching Children to Love. And it's using Heart Math Institute's curriculum, which is out in California. So I would suggest, and it's for preschool children. They have wonderful games and wonderful ways. We're talking about the training, the teaching piece of teaching respect and compassion and giving and all those kinds of, that's exactly what that curriculum is all about. So it's called Heart Math.
Well, I'm going to say this for you again. This is Cheryl. This is Cheryl, everybody. And get your pens out. This is a great resource, and this is why I do this, because you can all learn from each other. Heart Math. And it's in California?
It's out of California.
Called
Heart Math Institute.
So they can Google Heart Math Institute.
Right. And
Excellent.
The curriculum is called Teaching Children to Love.
The curriculum is called Teaching Children to Love. Sounds like a wonderful resource, and it is for preschool ages. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that great resource. I'd love to talk with you afterward and pick your brain a little bit as well, if you don't mind. Great. There was somebody who had a hand up over here. Was it you, Barbara? Yeah, she's like, no, I was just fixing my hair. Sorry about that. Did anyone else have something to add that they do to connect deeper with the child or themselves or the community or the school? Yes.
With the community, every year I have a Dream Girl Conference, ages 12 to 18. And we spend the weekend in Ocean City during the winter months because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And we talk about self-esteem, empowering them. We talk about sex. And then that night we have a session, around 12 midnight, we had pajama night where we could just rap about anything they want to talk about. We have music, food, and everything for them. And it's pretty good.
Oh, I think pretty good is probably a wicked understatement. What do you think? What's your name
We have
again?
about 50 to 60 girls that come out.
That's fantastic. What a great thing that you're doing to support them and to give them that open space. I think so often, mostly girls, but all kids that are in that age range feel that they're maybe alone and isolated, that the way they feel is the only them feeling it. So when you can provide them this open space to talk and say, oh my gosh, they're just like me and they feel it too, and that you're there as a facilitator to say, I'm here for you, I think that's wonderful. Could you tell me your name again?
Robin.
Robin. This is Robin. If anyone wants to talk to her about that program, is anyone from
It's just a community, my church.
your church
is
community?
involved with it.
Okay, but I bet there's a nice template for how other people can do that in other areas. That's wonderful. Okay, one more. That's it. One more. Yes.
I know I'm not in the direct service area, so I rarely get to see my children unless I'm going to go on site and actually go to the business. But in my community, I always do our community for garden.
about, is that there is a wealth of experience in here, and the love, you can feel it, right? It's definitely, people, you're here because of this desire to make a difference. So I encourage you to go forth and continue making a difference. I'll tell you one final story. For those of you, it sounds to me as if you guys are action takers. But this really hit me. Last year, 3 days after Newtown, I had to fly down to South Carolina because I heard my father had taken a turn for the worst. And I got there just in time to hold his hand before he passed away. And I remembered that 3 months early, he wasn't able to talk in December last year, but 3 months earlier, we had a conversation, and he said to me things like, I wish we had done this. I wish we had gone here. I wish I'd shown you this. I wish I had been better. I wish. And I learned a lot from my father, things like work ethic and loyalty to family. But one thing I don't want to learn from him is at the end of my life, I don't want to say I wish. I want to say I did. I want to say I tried, I dived in, I skinned my knees, I loved, and I want that for each of you. So if you're feeling tentative or scared about anything, I encourage you to just break through that. Skin your knees. Take the chances, because regret is not fun. And you have so much to offer. Each of you has so much to offer, and you're making a difference. Continue to make a difference. I hope you come back and see me at the next session. If you're seeing some of the other amazing presenters, seek me out in the hallway, because I would love to know each and every one of you, know your story, and if there's anything that I can do to serve you, please let me know and keep connecting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heather. Heather will be also here during the 10:30 to noon block doing a follow-up workshop to be more in-depth in terms of working as a team and team building. At this time, we will transition to our workshops, which will begin at 10:30. The rooms, again, are listed in your packet. It's a bookleted, calendar-looking white page. We, of course, are into Friday, the 10:30 block. There is one in here, one in the Tiffany, which is 2 rooms over. The Oakdale room, does anybody not know where the Oakdale room is? You're going to go towards the lobby, and if you go around the reception desk, it's down the hall to the right, all the way at the end of the hall. And then the amphitheater is, again, going past the lobby. You continue straight past the elevators, and it'll be on your left-hand side. So our rooms, of course, today are the Crystal Room here, the Tiffany Room, the Oakdale Room, and the amphitheater. Let's give a hand again to Heather. Thank you very much. And Heather has available her books. She is giving a discount to attendees today. It's usually $17, but today it is $10. So please, if you're interested in purchasing a book from Heather, you can see her either during this period of time, during the transition, her workshop, or around lunchtime. I do believe she's going to be staying with us for lunch too. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you again in the lunch break at noon.
Thank you.